The Airbnb review request went to our inbox. He wasn't the Riley in the photo. Hook. The email subject line said, "Thanks for staying, Riley," and arrived in the shared inbox where our dinner plans and electric bill go to be reasonable. The thumbnail was a loft with painted brick and a fern that had learned optimism. The host wrote, "You two left the place so tidy, welcome back anytime," which would have been a kindness if it hadn't been addressed to a man I'm not married to. Under the photo, a small button offered, "Leave a review." I clicked the listing instead. My name is Simon. I'm 35. I write copy that sells people patience disguised as convenience. My husband is Calder. He designs the way light behaves in rooms that are embarrassed to admit they want to be loved. 4 years into marriage, we've become devout about competence. Coffee placed where a hand will find it. The good glasses used even for water because ceremony should pull its weight. A kiss hung on the doorframe like a receipt we never audit. We don't break easily. The trouble with that is sometimes we forget to bend. The listing was for a loft above a letterpress shop on Grafton. The calendar showed a one-night stay, Saturday, booked by Riley and Theo. The host had uploaded 2 photos of the sweetest guests, one blurred out of faces and one looking almost accidental. A man in a white shirt rolled one turn past the statue carrying a grocery bag, and behind him Calder, laughing with his head at that angle he reserves for when he's pretending the room isn't his to improve. The fern looked pleased with both of them. "We got an Airbnb receipt," I said when he came home, "because starting with the leak is more merciful to the dam." I put my laptop on the counter and watched the second photo bloom. He did the wreckage I love him for. No rehearsal, no PR. He put his hands flat on the steel like he was trying to keep the apartment from tipping. "I was going to tell you," he said. I nodded as if the verb had arrived on time. "Tell me in the room you rented," I answered. "I want the heir to testify." The letterpress shop on Grafton smelled like ink deciding to be memory. The bell over the door was a sentence ending. "Upstairs," the woman at the counter said when I told her I was here for a follow-up, and the words made their own kind of sin. The stairs were too beautiful for discretion. I knocked on the loft door and it performed the comedy of unlocked. It was a careful room. Brick wall that wanted to be photographed. A desk with so few things on it you could swear the surface made decisions. A bed that pretended not to care who it was important to. On the island were 2 heavy glasses pretending to be for whiskey and still holding water. The fern was honestly thriving. "Riley," I said to no one, trying out the taste of a name that had wandered into my house by email. "Riley is a grant writer with a schedule and good intentions," Calder said from the misbehaving window. His sleeves were rolled to the degree that suggests a man believes in his own elbows. He didn't reach for me. That was the new thing. He stared past me at the shop below where someone was coaxing paper into meaning. "We stayed here," he said. "One night. It was supposed to be out loud. It was supposed to fix my cowardice about saying out loud what I wanted." "You kissed him," I said, "because there are sentences you lay down like tools and then build the rest on top." "Twice," he said. He refuses to audition for his confessions. "Once because I wanted to be chosen without auditioning. Once because I wanted to hurt us hard enough to move. Both times I thought of you. Both times I kept going." Someone's phone buzzed on the bookshelf, and somewhere else a printing press cleared its throat. The air decided to be honest. I put my palm where it belongs, between his shoulder blades, pressed into the square that convinces lungs to stop freelancing and remember whose side they're on. We kept it clean enough for the fern and explicit enough that the brick learned our names. My mouth found the place under his jaw where my name has a rent-controlled unit. "I don't want to audition for your forgiveness," he said into my collar, voice unhandsome with accuracy. "I want to be chosen and then worth it." Then stop renting the truth, I said. Pay mortgage at home. A knock, light, properly apologetic, and a man stood in the doorway wearing a white shirt rolled one turn too far, and a face that would be forgiven by fluorescent light and worshipped under anything warmer. He did not perform surprise. His hands were empty and stayed that way. "I'm Theo," he said, not offering a hand and saving us both labor. His eyes were not trying to win anything they hadn't paid for. "Do you want me to leave?" "Yes," I said, because speed is the only mercy strangers get when furniture is deciding whether to testify. "Thank you," I added, because my mother's voice is a seatbelt I intend to keep buckled. He nodded. As he passed, he did not touch Calder's knuckles with that intimate punctuation I've learned to resent. He simply moved aside like a man who understands what doors are for. The bell downstairs made its small claim and then shut up. We packed nothing and left the room to its objects. The stairs didn't require a statement. On the sidewalk, the winter air behaved like a witness that had graduated law school out of spite. At home, I did the thing that has kept us from outsourcing our lives to scenery. I took a blue painter's tape roll from the drawer and made a square on the kitchen window. Above it, I wrote 807 with the pencil that lives by the calendar, because some tools are rituals pretending to be stationary. 4 minutes in the square with his palm at my back and breathing like a job. 3 minutes of inventory, 3 facts, 2 fears, 1 want. No prosecution. Water in the good glasses at 8:20 because small noises prevent large ones. "Tonight," I said, "and tomorrow. If you miss 807, you make another 807 and you knock on this square with your hand." He nodded like a man eager for instructions, because his hands were tired of improvising. At 3:15 my phone buzzed with a push alert no app confesses to writing. "Listen to 11 seconds of water," it said. I sent present/bus stop, because present is sexier than sorry when it's honest. He replied present/load in, which is museum for I'm up where the weight is, making sure nothing falls on you while you walk under it. At 5:41 the doorbell practiced humility. Through the peephole white shirt, very careful sleeves. Thea held up a velvet pouch the size of a confession. I opened because peephole ethics is smug. He handed over a ring, Calder's, which he sometimes takes off to keep plaster honest. "He left this on the desk," Theo said, and kept his eyes on my eyes. "I'm out of your story." "Do you want me to leave?" he added, doubling down on the only charm that works on men who have decided to keep what they can of themselves. "Yes," I said. "Thank you," I added and meant it. He went down the hall like a person who knew doors and didn't need to rehearse them anymore. At 8:07 the square did its job. Calder put his palm where breath listens and my lungs obeyed like a good employee with a new supervisor. The city did its affidavit, sirens practicing remorse, a bus deciding, someone laughing like survival, and we didn't hire any of it. At 8:12 inventory. He said 3 facts that did not need adjectives. He'd texted the host to remove his name from the album. He'd told his assistant to stop using the loft as a solution for everything calendars can't do. He'd blocked Thursdays with a recurring event called MAKE Heat at Home. His fears were untheatrical. His want used my full name and no jokes. I did mine. 3 facts that stood on their own legs, 2 fears that did not audition for prophecy, 1 want that answered instead of debating. At 8:20, water clicked in the good glasses like a new alphabet that had been waiting for us to get over ourselves. It wasn't tidy. Twice that week he was late and the old monologue in my throat powdered its nose and demanded a microphone. I made it sit by the sink and listen to the refrigerator preach patience. Once I saw Theo outside the letterpress, tie loosened to the illegal degree, talking to a man whose earrings looked like punctuation. He lifted 2 fingers, weather, not invitation. I answered with the same economy, because spite is expensive and I intend to retire loved. We fought like citizens who pay rent and own the nice dishes. I asked why attention still dresses up as oxygen inside his chest. He asked why I polish dignity until it slips off the table. I said I am tired of writing copy for us that reads like compliance. He said he forgot he could ask me for noise. We traded sentences that were small and heavy, and told the truth without being cruel. He said Theo's name exactly twice and mine more times than a man staying for good needs too. A week later, the host sent another email. Would you recommend Simon and Calder? The algorithm had learned something truer than we had intended to teach it. I typed, the fern is thriving, the bed is complicit, we're moving our loyalty program to our kitchen. I didn't hit send. I read it to him at 8:20, and he kissed the hinge of my smile like feedback is bulked best by mouth. We established customs at the border of home. When one of us opens the door, he says, I'm in, aloud. Present is sexier than sorry when it's honest. The hallway light is on a sensor now. It wakes when we cut the air it owns. If one of us must be late, he texts present place, and we pretend not to be poets about grammar that finally wears well. The lock clicks like a paid witness. We tip it with mercy so it keeps telling the truth. One evening he took me to a restaurant build he'd been shepherding, plywood everywhere, ladders in the way, pendant lights drooping like question marks. He tuned a single can light until the concrete decided to glow without lying. Walk with me, he said, which in our marriage means I need to be seen doing competence without applause. We stepped across tape lines that can't wait to be walls. He put my hand on a dimmer and told me to turn until a table felt like a secret you didn't have to hide. Clean, explicit enough for Wood to learn our names. The security camera bowed and retired. Relapses found us like weather. A donor texted quick drink at 10:30, which Mansion rules define as flirting with alibi. A morning when I answered inventory with a joke and had to apologize using my mouth and not my copy. Each time the square caught us. Some nights we were monks of breath. Some nights our names blurred the glass and the window forgave us because that's what glass does when it likes who's inside. People ask because people will, under misbehaving streetlights and in bathroom lines and over sinks that have heard better, who the villain is. They want me to say a man with forgiving wrists, or a loft with forgiving light, or a husband who outsourced urgency to an algorithm that mistakes moments for meaning. The truth humiliates us evenly, which is the only kind that helps. The villain was the version of us that treated heat like an errand and romance like a feature. The miracle is repetitive and small. Knock on our own door. Say where we are, put a palm where breath listens, count to 60, try again. The erotic part wasn't the robe that made clavicles into thesis statements or a photo that wanted to turn itself into a hostage. It was water in the good glasses clicking like a language we finally agreed to learn. It was my name in his mouth at the windows blue, spoken like rent paid on time. It was his hand on my back in public, quick, nothing for cameras, everything for the animal I am. Last night the frame on the counter delivered a picture I didn't recognize. Our kitchen at 8:07, the light off so the window on the scene, silhouettes of 2 men, one hand at the square behind the heart, one head slightly bowed. The algorithm captioned it with nonsense. The timestamp was correct. Calder had set a timer and added the photo to the album named here. Private, he said, sheepish and hopeful. This one was meant for us. I left it where it belonged. Tonight at 7:58 I'll set my phone face down like manners are still a technology worth installing. At 8:07 his palm will find the back of the heart and the tape will remember why it was hired. If we miss, we'll do the only miracle repetition ever made plausible. Try again. 8, 17, 10, 10, 11, 11, whenever Mercy clocks in. Somewhere a host is asking the wrong two names to rate a night that didn't belong to them. Our door knows our knock. It keeps opening when we ask it to.